Spurs, Warriors. I mean, that's two heavyweights. And the Warriors got a new guy. Former Seattle Sonic and Oklahoma City Thunderman Kevin Durant. Not fading away, man. He just moved to Oakland. First point as a Warrior for Durant. Step back, Bobby Jack. Durant over Kyle Anderson, former UCLAer. Deep three there. Durant with the angry young man. LaMarcus Aldridge, you can't guard him out there. Durant, 14 points, 8 rebounds in the first half. Aldridge, former Blazerman, from Kawhi Leonard right there, the pick and roll. And then Patty Mills to the former Sugarland legend, Jonathan Simmons. 64-46. Spurs at the half. Their bench outscores the Warriors bench 30-6. This was all the chase down by Simmons on Curry. I mean, this was all San Antonio. They're up 11 after one. They were never threatened. Up 18 at the half. Even Riley Curry said, whoa, when she saw that one. Steph Curry right there. Leonard, remember, he was the runner-up to Curry for MVP. Take that, I'm in the San Diego State Hall of Fame. And then Simmons. Oh! I mean, there are mouths to be fed. I mean, this guy, we're not in Tucson anymore. Boy, that look says it all. Spurs, 129-100. All right, Michael Wilbon, the Cubs will bat last in this conversation, but leading off, what message does San Antonio deliver in Oakland to the Warriors?
By the way, Neil, I'm not sure what's more shocking, what happened in Cleveland tonight with that beatdown or the beatdown here. I think this one was more decisive. You know, I'm sure that the Spurs, and Greg Popovich is a few feet away from me right now greeting some folks who are here for his team to support them. I'm not sure he would say there's any message. Maybe the only message is they're ready to play. They're not trying to incorporate a bunch of new guys, even though they do have 4 or 5 new players that will matter, including Simmons, who you just showed in that highlight, another late bloomer that the Spurs get, who played 2 years in the D-League, and all of a sudden he looks like Kawhi Leonard Jr. in this game. But I just think, they're ready to play. And Golden State, we don't know about yet because their changes were more dramatic when you take off as many good players, starters, defensive players, as the Warriors got rid of or had to move, let's say, during the offseason to fit in Kevin Durant. So the Warriors not nearly ready to be what we think they're going to be. The Spurs a lot closer. And I'm hesitant to ever get declarative on a opening game or anything in the first 3 or 4 weeks of the NBA season because things change so dramatically. But this was a surprise.
How would you rate the first act for the new fella, Durant?
Wow. I mean, he was active. You could tell, they had some ball movement. They missed a lot of layups, all of them. Maybe Durant didn't miss things, but they got behind, and all of a sudden, when you're in this arena, and Neil, you've been here in big games, it's like they hear the sweet Georgia Brown music. None of the rest of us hear it, but the Warriors do, and they start turning it over. And pretty soon it didn't matter what Durant was doing or how good he was. And Curry was, I think, at 1.3 for 9 for 3. I don't know what he wound up. But, the two of them are not going to be enough to carry this. All offseason and into the preseason, Mr. Durant talked about not having just two-man basketball, right? Well, that's what happened for the Warriors in large part, while the Spurs were just bringing it from everywhere. Kawhi Leonard leading the way. I mean, he's certainly been one of the 5 best players to me in this league for the last couple of seasons plus, and there was nothing to suggest he's going the other way. So Durant was fine early. The team fell behind. I'm sure that's all that matters to him at this point. And not only could they not get the lead, they couldn't dent the lead. And it was just never a match. I mean, at one point it was 10-7, and all of a sudden from there, the Spurs just pulled away, and Golden State had no answers. There were flashes, Neil, of good ball movement and the kind of thing we hope to see from the Warriors repeatedly for 60-plus wins from now to the middle of April. But there was precious little of it, and the Spurs looked like a finished product.
Actually, Michael, the Spurs look like Corey Kluber, and the Warriors look like the Cubs. I know.
Oh, you're putting it to me now.
I know you had to have one eye on the baseball game. So, what are your thoughts after Game 1, heading to Game 2? We got Bauer and Arrieta.
Well, it's hard to see that stat that says the game one winner of the World Series has taken 17 of the last 19 World Series. I think I saw that somewhere between, in moist eyes while I was watching this game. I was happy to have a distraction. Kluber's a guy who figures to win at home, even over John Lester. The game, you would think it'd be closer and tighter, and Lester didn't do much wrong. He gave up a home run there, but it's one game. If anything, you look at this from a Cleveland point of view, the Indians needed to win game one at home, and now the Cubs need to find a way to get a game to prevent from going back to Wrigley down 2-0, which is really, the numbers really pile up against you there. So I'm trying to remain calm 2,000 miles away from Chicago and hope they can figure out a way to salvage game two.
That's Michael Wilbon giving us 2 for 1 on a Tuesday.
Thanks, Neil.
Only one team has ever lost a season opener by 20 or more points and then came back and won the NBA title. And that was the St. Louis Hawks, who were blown out by Bill Russell and the Celtics on opening night in 1957, then beat the Celtics later that year in the NBA Finals. Maybe we'll have Spurs Warriors in the conference finals. But the Warriors know a thing or two about bouncing back. They did it in 55 and 74 before going on to win the title. Nicole?
Well, I'm not going to write the Warriors off at this point. By the way, NBA is back. So too is Tim Legler. We did talk earlier, and I said I didn't see that one coming. But you sort of did. What is it that concerned you about this Warriors team that sort of came true today?
Well, a couple of things when I say sort of did. Here's what I was thinking about this team. It was going to take some time for them. They're a work in progress to figure out how they want to play and the roles and the identification offensively. And also, this is the worst team in the world that you can be paired up with opening night with all the attention they've gotten, because San Antonio, you knew, was going to be ready for this game. Right. They've got so much more continuity, cohesion, but it became a very sloppy game on the part of Golden State Warriors. When they weren't making perimeter shots, they started turning the basketball over. And I thought that the end of the third quarter, the flurry that San Antonio hit him with was a microcosm of the game. Kawhi Leonard, by the way, adamant stamp tonight, best player on the floor, and he is a guy that's going to be in the MVP discussion all year long. Right there with the strip of Curry. And look how sloppy on the inbounds pass. They can't even get the ball in. You get another deflection and a steal. Get it out to your best player who goes out on the perimeter, and this was his shot all night long, this mid-range pull-up. No matter who they put in front of him, Kawhi Leonard got what he wanted. So it really came down to this. San Antonio not only had the best player on the floor, they're the second best player as well, LaMarcus Aldridge. They outplayed everybody that Golden State had in uniform.
And that's impressive, because that's a very impressive list of players.
And they have problems surfaced tonight that we talked about being a concern. You don't have Andrew Bogut anymore. So you don't have the rim protection and a guy that's just in the way, in the lane, and hitting people. They were soft and porous defensively tonight. And I don't know where that's going to change. Zaza Pachulia is just not the presence that Bogut is. They don't really have a backup center right now getting big minutes for them. So I don't know where they're going to turn that part of their game around, because this was an elite defensive team 2 years in a row. They didn't look like that tonight. They were porous. It was a layup line for the Spurs all night long, whatever they wanted to get. That, I think, is Steve Kerr's biggest issue with this game film. Offensively, they're going to get much better. But how much better will they get defensively in the paint? I think that's a big concern. Maybe their offense will ultimately be their best defense, and it wasn't very good tonight. So defensively, they really suffered as a result.
Just a new era sort of for both teams. But these guys looked, even though Popovich says he's finding Tim Duncan, $2,500 a day before he shows up to the team, these guys looked pretty good in Kawhi Leonard's hand. Tim, thanks for coming back.
Thank you, Nicole. Good to be back.
If you had the Warriors, still a lot of ball to play. Kevin Durant, first game for Golden State.
What would lead to that?
I mean, it's the first game at home. It's a lot of energy in the building. It was a lot, before the game. So guys may have been a little tense, but hey, that's NBA basketball. I think, we kind of calmed down a bit to start the second half, but they were already ahead, and we can't wait a half to play good basketball. But it's just a matter of us getting better from it, keep learning from it, and we'll be fine.
KD, the rebounding margin wasn't in you guys' favor. Bench points as well, the same, and defensively as well. Out of those things or some other aspects of the game, what's most concerning?
Well, our first shot defense was really good. When you give up what is that, 20 offensive rebounds, and they score 24 points, 9 for 15 with second chance points, that makes your defense look worse than it is. But initially we contested, we made them shoot tough shots, and they just got their own rebounds. So we got to be better at that. We got to help out. The smalls got to help out Draymond and Zaza and D West and Andy. So but it's stuff that we can control, and we can't panic. Obviously, it's game one of 82, but we definitely got to get better.
Kevin, it looked like they made a concerted effort to run you guys off the line. Is that what you expect to see throughout the season, making you shoot twos instead of threes?
I mean, we shot 33 threes. We still got them up. We only made 7 of them. So, yeah, but we can drive to the basket more. We got 48 paint points, and team's going to take away the 3. We can get to the rim. We got guys that can get to the rim. So I think tonight, offense, I don't think that was a problem for us. We missed shots. Obviously, we got good looks, but defensively, offensive rebounds was the thing for us, and second chance points. We correct that. We're in a good game.
Kevin, you mentioned some guys were kind of perhaps tense. How did you feel driving up here, first Warriors game, real Warriors game, and all that? And were you a little nervous or tense?
I mean, like I said, everybody was. The first game, you want to do so well. You just want to. You're so anxious to play, nice leading up, and that's just part of being in the NBA. But yeah, I was, excited to play. Sometimes you could be overly excited. I think I had to calm down as the second quarter started and the rest of the game went on. But other than that, it was another game for me, game one, and we can't win a championship right now. So, we wouldn't have been celebrating if we'd have won this game anyway.
You had said that yesterday. Do you kind of feel the opposite? Now, you said if you win one, it's just one game.
Yeah.
Do you kind of flip the opposite on this?
I mean, if you lose one, you can't. We're not going to come back into the locker room panicking, or obviously we're upset. We want to win, but you got to move on and learn from it. Win or lose, and that's just part of the game. Especially in October. We got to learn from it and keep getting better.
With the way the Spurs play, execute so well, hustling. Was that a good first opponent for you to kind of get you a feel for what you got to do?
Yeah, most definitely. Those the guys, they've been playing together. They got a nice little continuity going. This is LaMarcus' second year with them, so they know how they know how to play. And Kawhi is, they're giving them the ball a lot. I think it was a lot of, middle pick and rolls, and they were making shots, and also, it was a couple bad bounces for us on the offensive glass, and I felt like every time we were cutting it close, they ended up making a shot or hitting a 3 or getting an offensive rebound. So, but we, like I said, man, it's just game one, and we got to learn from it. We can't let this game, turn into 2 or 3 games. We gotta correct it now.
Katie, like you said, you still got 81 games left. How do you, as a leader now, how do you mix with the team, and what kind of leadership do you show in times like this right now?
I've always been a lead by example guy, so I'll come in and get my work in just like I've been doing since September 27th. And, we'll be fine. Like I said, everybody knows, we got veteran guys. We know what went on tonight. We can't panic, but we can't let this turn into a couple more games. We got to correct it.
Tim Legler back with us. I think I heard the word panic a couple of times in there. What do you make of what Kevin Durant said?
Well, I think he's trying to explain something that I think was hard for him to even understand what kind of happened tonight, but he's just trying to put it to bed and saying, look, nobody overreact to this. He has to understand this team is going to get overreactions until they hit their stride and they run off a nice long winning streak, and then people will kind of start to calm down and realize this is going to be as good as everybody thought it was going to be. No one expects you to get blown out in your first game with all the hype this team had, and you certainly don't expect them to give up 129 points at home. Those are concerns, but I think part of what he said was true in that if their offense gets better, their defense won't look as bad as it did tonight. Their poor offensive execution, missed shots, turning the ball over, that's what really led to San Antonio getting into their rhythm, and I think that was the biggest point he was trying to make.
They set an impossibly high bar a season ago. I mean, you saw the bottom line there. I mean, they didn't lose their first home game of the season until April last season. They go in this year, game one, they already collect their first loss. the lineup on this team does remind me a little bit of the growing pains that the Miami Heat had to go through a number of years ago when it was Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh and, of course, LeBron James. How does that compare to what we're seeing now with the Warriors?
It's similar in terms of offensively trying to figure out how you're going to play together. If you remember when LeBron joined up with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, that first 17 games when they were 8 and 9, they were stepping on each other's toes. And the biggest problem they were having was LeBron and Dwayne Wade they were almost being too polite to the other guy and deferring, and no one took that lead alpha role when they had to. Once they got that sorted out, they were fine. This is a completely different level of pressure, though, because you got to remember when LeBron James went to Miami, they had won it in 2006, but they weren't a very good basketball team when he got there. Kevin Durant is going to a team that's gone to the last 2 finals. They broke a record for wins last year. So you expect automatically by adding him, and it's unrealistic, that all of a sudden it's just going to be perfect from day one and they're going to be unbeatable. You still have to figure out how to get a flow to your team when you add a player like Kevin Durant. You now have 4 primary ball handlers on this team. It's going to be difficult to get guys into their rhythm on a nightly basis, so it's going to take some time.
I guess the 82-0 watch can just end tonight.
Thank goodness. I don't want another 24-0 start. I didn't want that.
Well, you never know. I mean, maybe the Spurs
could
get us there. You never know. All right, Tim Legler, thank you very much.